The pen hovered above the paper, trembling in his hand. My brother leaned back, soaked in victory, eyes flicking to me like I was a footnote. The room smelled like fresh ink and stale arrogance. He grinned and said it, loud, cruel, final. I'm rich now, and you're just a secretary. I smiled because the transfer confirmation vibrated in my pocket at the exact same second. I let him savor the moment. Then I spoke softly. Actually, you're broke. I didn't look at him when the words landed. I didn't need to. I'd waited years for that silence. We used to share a room. 2 beds, 1 dream. He'd tell me I was the smart one. I'd tell him he was the brave one. We split chores, secrets, and blame. When our parents died, the world split too. I took the numbers. He took the spotlight. We agreed on it. We shook hands like men who believed in fairness. I built the company's spine, ledgers, contracts, compliance. I learned the law the way others learn. Prayer, quietly, repeatedly, with faith that it would save me one day. He learned the art of applause. He learned how to be seen. When the first deal closed, he hugged me like a brother again. When the second deal closed, he stopped asking my opinion. By the third, he stopped using my name. I noticed the changes before I could prove them. Expenses that drifted. Signatures that felt rushed. Accounts that moved like fish at night. I told myself it was growth. I told myself success leaves messes. I wanted to believe him. The proof came in a sentence meant for someone else. A message preview on his phone, lighting up the dark like a flare. My name spelled wrong. My role reduced. He's just a secretary, he'd typed. He won't see it coming. I didn't confront him. I closed my mouth and opened a file. Planning became my oxygen. I read everything. I mapped everything. I didn't rush. Revenge that runs is revenge that trips. I needed it clean, legal, irreversible. I found the shell companies he'd created to siphon money. Thin enough to hide, sloppy enough to trace. I found the forged approvals tucked into routine renewals. I found the clause he'd ignored because he thought I'd never use it. The one that handed operational authority to the person who kept the books in a crisis. The person who could declare a crisis. So I created one. An audit request here, a compliance alert there. I waited for the moment the board would panic. I waited for the day he'd be too busy celebrating to notice the door. I was opening behind him. I didn't steal his money. I followed the rules he'd broken. I froze accounts tied to irregularities. I redirected funds to holding under my authority. I documented every step. I left a trail so clean it could testify. The day of the signing arrived like a funeral pretending to be a wedding. He wore a suit that fit better than his conscience. The investors smiled at him like he'd invented gravity. I took my seat with the folders aligned, my pulse calm. He gloated because he thought this was the end. He thought the paper crowned him king. That's when my phone buzzed. Confirmation. Done. Actually, you're broke. He laughed at first. Then he checked his phone. Then his face learned a new shape. He tried to speak. He tried to stand. The room leaned away from him. I slid a folder across the table. Not toward him, toward the chairwoman. She opened it. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. The questions came slow and sharp. He answered wrong. He always had. When they asked about the accounts, he pointed at me. When they asked about the signatures, he blamed an assistant. When they asked about intent, he said nothing. I watched the truth assemble itself without my help. Security walked him out while he kept calling my name, brother, like it still meant something, like it could save him. After the room emptied, I stayed. The silence returned to me like an old friend. I didn't feel joy. I felt balance. People think revenge is loud. It isn't. It's patient. It's paperwork. It's knowing when to speak and when to let gravity do the work. I didn't take his future. He handed it to me in pieces, one careless move at a time. I just put them together. When I left the building, the sun felt earned. My phone stayed quiet. No more messages. No more shadows. I wasn't a secretary. I was the keeper of the truth. And when the truth finally stood up, it didn't need to shout. Neither did I.